but we are going to get set to go very soon here. My name is Ryan. I'll be presenting. I'm one of the co-founders of Noterro, and I'll be presenting part of this. And then Nick is also a co-founder at Noterro, and he'll be doing the demo portion. So, okay, let's see here. If you have, as well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions in the chat. We'll be monitoring them, and Steph here on our customer success team will respond where she can, and also just kind of keep track of the questions. At the end, we'll have a question period, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that might still be remaining. So I'll just jump into it now. All right. So, Noterro Scribe. So what we're going to do today in terms of the agenda is we'll talk about why Noterro Scribe matters, what it is, how it works, how you can use it. We'll do a demo, and then we'll talk about pricing. So why it matters. So at Noterro, we approach problem solving from the practitioner first perspective, trying to solve problems specifically for the practitioner. We know that scribing is like super useful, especially with the latest AI tooling that has recently become available. And there's a lot of great AI tools out there for scribing. And so we know that it's good to use, but we also know that you don't want to constantly be copy and pasting from one system to another. So that's why we've built into Noterro directly the concept of scribing directly into your clinical notes. So basically, Noterro Scribe, what it is, it allows you to create a recording that will generate a preliminary clinical note. This is something that we'll process, and then you'll be able to review and then adjust before adding it to your note. So the way it works is like within the clinical note, you'll be able to record record your audio. That will get uploaded to Noterro, and then on Noterro's end, we'll actually transcribe that audio into text, and then take that text, and using AI will generate the preliminary clinical note. The note will be broken down into like several key sections. So you have the ability to control, each of these individual sections as to where that text will get placed on your clinical note. And this could be in a SOAP section, but this could also be in other areas of your clinical note that you have large text boxes. So if you've created custom templates, for example, you'll be able to send these AI generated pieces of information into those specific areas. You also have the option to not add these like certain sections to the note. If you only want to push a few of them into the note, then you'll have the option to select which ones you want. And then over time, Noterro will learn what types of selections you make. So if you're always sending information, for a certain section into a certain text box on your note, then it will pre-select that on future notes, just to help, to keep it quick. So, all right. So Noterro Scribe's AI model is trained specifically for health and wellness, including procedures, medications, and conditions. So that's part of the value, is that it is specifically designed for this use case. Security and privacy are at the core of everything we do. So in specific to Scribe, it's important to know that all recordings are encrypted in transit and at rest, for the brief moments that they are at rest, and then automatically deleted. The data that we send to the AI model and the data that we receive back from the AI model, neither one of those are ever used to train AI models. So, you don't have to worry about the data that you're using or getting back being used to kind of continuously go back into the AI models, which is typically done in AI in general. And Noterro Scribe is completely optional to use. You don't have to use it. It's available if you'd like, but it's completely optional. So the two main use cases that you would use it for is dictating or dictation for your appointments in your own words. The model is designed to to build a clinical note based on medical context. And then the other is conversational. So you can record your conversations with your patients, and Scribe can automatically identify the different participants as well as um, filter out small talk and create a preliminary clinical note based on the conversation that happened. And one of the great benefits of Scribe being embedded in the product is that we can utilize scribing throughout other areas of the platform, beyond just the clinical note. So from the calendar, for example, is typically your home base as a practitioner, and you're on the calendar primarily. Well, the idea is that through your day, you may finish an appointment from the calendar. On the calendar, you'll be able to click Scribe and be able to just share your thoughts on the appointment to initiate that Scribe, and then come back to it later to review your clinical note to see what the Scribe came back with for an actual review and adjustment potentially, and then add to your notes. Of course, you'll be able to scribe from your clinical notes and scribe from like a mobile device or tablet, including from the Noterro app if you have that installed on your iOS or Android device. So, Nick is going to kick off a demo here. It's a couple things to keep in mind. This is still in development. It's late stage development, but it is still in development, so things can change. And we could run into a bug during the demo, but that's all just part of the software process. So I'm going to stop my sharing here, and I'm going to let Nick take over the screen.
You should be able to see my screen. So I'm looking at another screen. Ryan, can you see my screen clearly?
Yep.
Okay, so perfect. As Ryan was saying, that we are still in the development phases, and the idea is that you do everything from the calendar. So the typical workflow is that you would be able to create your notes, scribe everything from the calendar, and you would never have to leave that process. So I'm going to go through a process where, I mean, that's not built yet, but a good portion of this is already built, and so we can demo what this is capable of doing. My background, I was a therapist for over 21 years, and if I had this tool, it would be a lot easier because I would just literally work from my calendar as I'm swapping between patients or clients. I would just do a quick scribe and then get ready for the next patient or client, because it would save a lot of time. And you're going to see that, I mean, what I'm going to actually dictate and what it comes back to, it's going to come back to slightly different, but we've at least when the information comes back to us, we can separate it out, and you can decide if you want to push it in or not push it into the notes or add to the notes. So let's get right into the demo. So from your calendar, I'll still work from the calendar. I'm going to add a note just as you normally would add a note, and I'm going to pick a template. So I'm going to pick my version 2. And as I was saying is, as we build this out, you're going to be able to scribe directly from this view. So let's go to the clinical note and take a look at what actually is going on here. So I'm on the clinical note, and there's this scribe section. So I don't have any scribes yet. And in our sidebar, we have the ability to scribe. And you're going to have this also on a mobile device. So it works obviously on a mobile device as well. So I'll open up the scribe. The little message, I already agreed to let use my microphone. It's not listening. So that's the other thing that some people are maybe concerned about, that somehow if this is embedded into the product, it's listening to what you're saying. It's not listening. And so you can see my voice. It's picking up my voice, but I haven't actually begun to scribe. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to start off with a longer scribe, and then I'll do a shorter scribe, and then you're going to see how they come back. And then I'm going to show you at the end of the day, so you can see to sort of come back. And again, imagine if you're from that calendar and you're doing all your scribes, and at the end of the day, you're just going to review all your scribes and either push them into the note or you're going to go to the note directly. But we'll show you, a really simple process that you can do this. So let's begin, and we'll take a look at how this is going to work. So I'm just going to turn it on, and there's going to be a countdown. for this. So the patient came in complaining of right shoulder pain. He describes the pain as excruciating pain when he raises his arm above his shoulder to reach the cupboard. He started noticing the pain approximately 2 months ago, and it's continually gotten worse. He also states that it wakes him up at night when he rolls onto that shoulder. He's had no treatment for his shoulder pain. He's had no diagnostic imaging for shoulder pain. He's on no pain medication other than Tylenol. He finds the Tylenol relieves his pain temporarily, and ice and heat have not provided relief. Physical assessment revealed a restricted range of motion in flexion, abduction, and external rotation, which was reduced by 50%. Resisted range of motion was graded a 4 out of 5 for flexion, extension, and external rotation, and all other ranges were unremarkable. The empty can test was positive. Palpation revealed tenderness at the supraspinatus insertion point and the long head of biceps, a possible impingement syndrome of the right shoulder. So today's treatment consisted of shoulder stretching exercises, shoulder joint mobilizations, and ultrasound for the insertion of supraspinatus muscle, as well as the long head of biceps. And we applied ice at the end of treatment. So I'll pause it now, and so it's ready to be uploaded. I can continue recording if I want, but I'm not going to continue recording, and I will upload it. And you get this little message, don't leave while it's uploading. Once it's uploaded, you can leave the screen. So you don't have to worry about, do I have to stay on this note? In fact, if you want it to, and you can see it's processing here. And so it'll take a bit of time just to process, and you can continue to, if you wanted to do assessment, or you wanted to do some tagging, or if you wanted to, check some additional boxes for consent. It's completely up to you on how you want to do this. Or you can leave the note and go to another, another application within the software. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to do another scribe, because I want to show you what a smaller scribe, and then when they get returned, we'll take a look at how they're returned and how the data is being processed. So you can do multiple scribes on a note. So I'm going to do another scribe. So I'm going to turn it back on. And then I'm going to show you some of the features of this tool itself. So let me just do another scribe first of all. The patient came in stating that his headache pain has improved since the last treatment, but he's still experiencing headaches at least 3 times per week. Today's treatment consisted of upper back and neck treatment, which included suboccipital release, trigger point therapy to the upper fibers of the right trapezius, and stretching. Myofascial release was also included. The treatment ended with an application of ice. The patient was sent home, and home care exercises to follow up treatment 2 times a week for the next 2 weeks. And then I can stop that. And then again, I can upload that as well. And then once it's uploaded, I'll come back to it. So I just want to take you through the tool itself, and then what you can do while you're scribing, because this can happen. So for example, because I sort of messed up the end of that, and I could have paused it and come back to it. So let me just show you. So you'll turn this on. And you might start recording. You might say the patient came in, oh, wait a minute. So I'm going to stop that, and I want to restart it. So I wasn't quite happy with that, and so I can go to the restart. Yes, I want to delete it, and I want to restart. So that's what the restart will do. And so anytime that you are making a mistake, you can do the restart. So I can start it again, and I'll just do one more, and I'll show you what the cancel actually does. So the patient came in complaining of right shoulder pain, blah, 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 blah. And I can stop that. And maybe I wasn't happy with it, so I just want to cancel it. And no, I don't want to keep the recording. So yes, cancel it. And so this will actually close it. So you have the ability to cancel it. You have the ability to, you have the ability to restart it, and you have the ability as well. I mean, what I was showing, you have the ability to pause it as well. So let me just go back to this, and I'll just show you. So if I was in here, I can, again, so as this is processing, I might be, so again, I'm dictating, and then someone comes in, I can pause it, and I can come back to it. I just can't leave this page. So When it is recording and you want to upload it, you have to stay on this page. As long as you stay on this page, you can pause it and do whatever you need to do. So I'll just cancel this. Okay, and so I can review this scribe. And so this was the first scribe. This was the shoulder pain. So when we click on this, and you'll see that it's broken up into, we'll take a look at this a bit closer, but it's broken into primary complaint, current symptoms, previous medical, objective findings, an assessment, and a plan section. What you're going to notice is when it returns, it puts some of the things that I was saying into multiple sections, and you don't have to use these multiple sections. And so, I mean, if we look at what the person came in, primary complaint, right shoulder pain. So that was bang on. That's what, what they were complaining of. And it talks about right shoulder pain. They talk, it was really, really accurate in terms of it started about 2 months ago, progressively getting worse, received no prior treatment, and only medication. So that's the current symptoms. And as you can see, I can add this to the subjective section. What Ryan was saying is, and I think a lot of people are familiar with our SOAP notes, and this is our SOAP widget. So it can get added directly to this, or you can create your own custom form, and you can map this to whatever section that you want to map it to or add it to. So you're not restricted. As long as you have a long answer question, it can get mapped to it. So again, you get a drop down. You can't see my drop down, but because of the note type, I only have 3 areas that I can actually send it to. So we're going to, when you start using this, we're going to already put this in the proper location. So subjective is in the subjective. And so these first couple sections are all your subjective sections. And then the previous medical history, right shoulder pain managed with Tylenol, ice and heat, no previous diagnostic image. So it is pulling that data, and it's also going to go into the subjective section. And these are the objective findings. So again, pulls out of the conversation what the objective findings are. And so I probably was mumbling here, and it said the IC test was positive. So again, so you might have to make some changes and correct this and put empty can in here as an example before you. But for the most part, it understands. And so testing out this quite a bit. If you're quite a distance from the microphone, or if you're gonna mumble, it's gonna still be very, very accurate. But if you just talk at a normal pace and you're very clear, it normally picks up things very, very well. And so you can see these are the objective findings. And then in the assessment, it determined that it was right shoulder impingement. And this was the plan here. And so pretty well exactly what I said. And so you have an option. And I'm not gonna add this to the note because I want to show you again, if we looked at that workflow, if you can imagine if you did it from the calendar and you had all your scribes lined up. So I'm not going to add this right to the note right now because I want to go to the dashboard and show you another workflow that we have. So that was the first scribe. And the second scribe, you'll notice when it's a shorter scribe, you'll see what it does to the information here. So it's not actually still processing. You just have to reload the page here. Okay, so if I review the second scribe, which was much shorter, the person came in complaining of headaches, the current symptoms. The report the headache pain has improved, so that was accurate. And then additional problem areas, headache pain located in upper back and fibers. It was all subjective. And then you get this section here, the previous medical history, chronic headaches, and it talks about, so it sort of assembles it. So when there's not as much information, it's just putting the information in multiple spots, which is not wrong, but you might not want this as well in here because sometimes it does get repetitive if the information is here. And I can just simply, do not add. And so we'll remember that, especially if you don't want to use this section, you don't have to use this section, or you can just use it verbatim, whatever you want. And again, it comes up with chronic headaches, and it talks about continued treatment, applied a device after treatment. So again, I said ice, and so it was just probably the way I was enunciating. I also my head was sort of turned away from the mic as well. You don't have to be right up against the mic, but it depends on, again, how clearly. So you do have to enunciate, and then that's going to map to the plan. So it's going to come back, as you can see, it's fairly accurate the way it comes back, and you have the ability to add it to any of the sections of the note, and you can even create your own custom notes. So I'm not going to add it to these notes because I do want to come back. I want to go to the dashboard and show you from the dashboard what you would do. So again, imagine if you did this from your calendar. I have 5 scribes. Some of them are from the other day, but I do want to show you some of these other scribes. And so you just click this review all button, or you have the ability just to look at individual scribes. So if you want to look at individual scribes, you could look at individual scribes. There's more functions in here as well that you can either review the scribe from here, view the note, you can jump into the note or delete. But I'm going to hit this review all function because this is a really interesting function. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to go through all these scribes one by one, and I can go through this. So again, imagine if you're working from the calendar, you scribed all your notes in between, and then at the end of the day, so it takes you a minute or two to scribe your notes, and at the end of the day, you just come here and just review this, and then you can add it to the note or add and finalize. So you might not ever have to go to the note if it's just going to be something very simple and easy to do. So what would have taken typical half hour maybe at the day, even longer, you can reduce your workload because down to 10 minutes by the end of the day. So in scribing all your notes. So we'll take a look at this. This was a conversation, and so this person came in. This was actually a real case. I wasn't treating the person, but this is a real case where the person has an extranavicular. And so it was just a conversation between what I had between myself and another person. And this is exactly what they were saying. And so it's listening to both parts of the conversation, and it's pulling out the information. And it pulled out this information of, what the person was complaining about, their foot pain, their extranavicular. X-rays showed that there was an extranavicular bone. The assessment had foot pain and extranavicular, and this was the plan. And this was just a 3-minute conversation that I had with the person, and it was able to understand, pick up my voice and the person's voice, and then assemble it into a note. Again, you just have to be close enough, and so close enough to the microphone so it can pick up that conversation. And I did this in a room where there's a lot of background noise as well, and it was able to filter out that background noise and just pick up our 2 voices. And understand it was just the 2 voices that were engaged in the conversation. And so if I was happy with this, I just can hit add and finalize. And now this has now become finalized, and I've now moved on to the next note. So this one here, again, right shoulder pain, and you can see it's broken up into much of the same thing, and I have the ability to add it. So if I'm happy with it, with what I'm seeing, and again, maybe, this is already stated, maybe I don't want this add it to the note, so I can do not add, and I can add and finalize. And as you go through, you can see it's going down, through your notes. And so again, imagine yourself at the end of the day. These are very simple scribes, and you can just, you're happy with it, and you just hit add and finalize. And again, however long it's going to take you to review these, and again, very, very accurate, add and finalize. And you can also, there's a skip feature, and so you could have skipped it and left it. And so this is the last one, and I could just add it to note or finalize. So I have that ability to do that. Can I finalize a note? Oh, this note is already, this note's already finalized. So this is an interesting case. This note's already been finalized, and so I'd have to come in here and either unfinalize the note or just remove the scribe. I think I'd actually push that to the note. So it's fairly straightforward. And again, we're going to be doing it from the calendar when we do this. And so again, one more time is that you would come in here, you're going to add the note, and then you're going to have the ability to, once you pick your template, you're going to add your note. And the idea is not you have to scribe everything, because there's still time, whether you're using this tool or another AI tool to create your notes, you still have to review those notes. You just can't blindly apply them, because it is going to interpret the information that you're presenting, and it's going to come back into format, and then you have to decide what you're going to do with that. If you're going to, in this case, whether you're just going to add it to the note or finalize it. And as I was saying, you don't have to use Scribe for every single note, because still truly the quickest way when you're adding a clinical note is just to duplicate the note and make some minor adjustments. So it doesn't have to be used on every clinical note, but again, if you were just doing, that 30 to 40 second um, uh, dictation of a note, and then again assembling at the end of the day. So if you can imagine, if you spent just say a minute or two on every note and you saw 7 people, that's 14 minutes to scribe, and then at the end of the day, however long it takes you to review it, so maybe another 14 minutes. And so at the each note is going to take you roughly 2 or 3 minutes to do, versus however long it would take if you're to sit there, put your thoughts down, type them in, and then finalize the note. So it's a much faster process, and it's pretty slick. So as I said, if this was around when I was doing notes, this is something I would definitely use a tool. And again, it doesn't have to be used on every note, but it does present really very accurate and professional looking notes. So I'm going to pass it back over to Ryan now. So let me just stop sharing.
Okay, you can hear me again. I'm just gonna share my screen. All right. So that was the demo. Thanks, Nick. So for pricing, so we know that you won't always want to scribe, like Nick mentioned. You can duplicate your note, ideally if you're able to do that, and you might only scribe on the first note of a patient, get a really good note, and then be duplicating from there. For that reason, we've made Scribe usage based. So scribe when it makes sense and only pay for what you use. And so it's usage based pricing. It's based on time. So you pay for as much or as little as you use. It works out to 16 cents a minute US, and it's available on all plans, including legacy. Um, And yeah, so we will soon we'll be opening up early access for users who are interested in trying Scribe before its general release. If you're interested in that, you can request access and by going to noterro.com/scribe. Yeah, and that's it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. And yeah, otherwise, we will be sharing this recording. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the demo and the walkthrough. And we look forward to releasing more information as the Scribe feature is finalized, and including announcing a release date, which should be coming in the near future. So
So we do have a bit of time to answer a few questions. I mean, some of them are coming in. I can see that. So some of them, can we try it for free? In terms of the early access and testing, yeah, it's not going to cost anything. So that's a good question. So anyone who does have early access, it won't cost you anything when you're testing it out, basically, because I've tested it out quite a bit, but it's not, even though I still have real world experience, and I'm basically dictating what I would have thought I would have dictated. It doesn't mean it's going to you're going to dictate what you're going to do. So we need multiple users testing this and to see how it comes back, and we're going to get the feedback, and then to try and optimize what we can on our end. So no, anyone who has early access, there won't be any cost. I don't know if Ron, there's quite a few in the chat.
no other questions. So okay.
There is one more question, actually.
Oh, okay.
Someone asked, do we need to get permission with clients if we are using this technology in conversation?
Yep. Yeah, you would need to get permission. I mean, you would need to verify based on your regulations and wherever you're located, but generally speaking, yeah, you should always be getting permission. So
There's a few other questions. I mean, good questions. So if I say objective, will it put it in the objective box? Not necessarily. It does understand if you basically said, if you did the objective things, such as, I did an assessment and these were my findings, or, the person came in with MRI results and this is what the report said. So it will put it in the appropriate sections.
Okay, I guess Nick, unless they were
Well, I'm just want to put, yeah, because some of them, there's one that says the AI software also records any plan recommendations and puts that onto notes, although recording the entire conversation. Will Scribe have the ability to do something similar? So I have used different platforms where they were putting recommendations, and I'm not sure exactly if this is what you're talking about, but it was making up things, and so I didn't find that very beneficial. So it did make recommendations such as recommending that the person start a course of anti-inflammatories. So I don't know if that's what you're meaning in terms of the recommendations. Again, it's from what I've tested, it's only scribing what you're telling, and it hasn't injected any recommendations that I can see. I just want to just quickly.
on my scrubs, as long as I mean, yeah, in terms of putting a Bluetooth mic on your scrubs, absolutely. If as long as it's picking up the audio, um, that's really all that matters. So yeah. If you have used Scribe on a draft note and there's a software update, will you lose the notes? No, the scribes are so the scribe results are stored in your Noterro account, so it has nothing to do with any particular updates.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything very quickly. I know there's some questions about acupuncture in terms of the acupuncture points. I'm not sure. I didn't really test it with acupuncture points, so I don't know what it would return. Like if you said BL 13, so bladder 13 or bladder 15, I would imagine if you said it clear enough, it would come back. But I don't know. I can't say for sure because I didn't test it with acupuncture points.
Okay. Another question there about, are you adapting the intake form to include consent to use Scribe? You're able to customize your intake form as much you like. That's a good point about considering putting that on some templates. But yeah, no, you would put that on your form at your own discretion, but yeah, it makes sense to put on a template as well. As an osteopath, I spend sometimes 45 minutes speaking to patients during initial assessment. Will the options, so the will the options will there be options later for more than just per minute pricing? As of right now, the pricing that we have is per minute. So yeah, I mean, it's a changing industry in general, AI. So as things evolve, that could change to become better pricing or different pricing. But as of right now, the only plans are per minute. Um, yeah, early access, I'll just drop a link to that um, in the chat here.
There was one over the microphone using your mobile device. Both my computer and mobile picked it up just as accurate. So I didn't find a difference between the two personally. And then and a release date. Do we have a release date?
We don't have one yet. No, we're targeted for mid-June or sometime in June, but we don't have an official date. We'll announce that though once that gets closer. In order for a dictation software to work for specific words, it has to be programmable. If not, it won't work with Chinese pinyin. So yeah, so it's something that'll have to be tested out. It is in English only at this time. So depending on the words used, it may or may not pick out all those terms. So if for some disciplines, it will work better than others for sure.
And even with the acupuncture points, the way I tested it, if you said BL, it might try and spell out BL as opposed to the letter B and L. So I don't know if it would work well with acupuncture points.
There's
The
there's a question being asked again, because I think we may have missed it.
oh.
Pending scribes can only be viewed by the practitioner, not assistants, correct? Unless
So
customized.
that is based on the staff privacy settings of the clinical note that the scribe is on. So if the scribe is on a clinical note that is for practitioners only, then only practitioners could see it and the admin, but not an assistant. So whatever the rules are on the clinical note is what rule will be applied to the scribed permission. Have you done trial runs with different accents? Not yet. So that's part of what the early access is for, is to try to get more diverse testing. Is that all the questions?
Yeah, I think we've hit most of them.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, yeah, I mean, at any point, you can feel free to email support@noterro.com if you have any more questions. We're happy to answer them. We'll be sharing this recording, and we'll be, publishing updates as we have them and as we get closer to a release. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and everybody have a great day.